He is Dana White. Dana, really quickly before we get to the card, how you doing, Dana? How is your life right about now, and how you feeling on Wednesday of fight week?
I feel good. Everything's good, buddy. Always have to deal with some problems here and there, but everything's been pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, which let me get to one of them, and maybe it's a problem, maybe it's not. The card, Dana, is loaded. Normally I would start at the very top with the championship fights, but I got to start with Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. It's a 5-round rematch of a fight, Dana, that took place 17 years ago. There's always excitement when there's a Diaz fight, and now there's news, and I don't know if this is one of the problems you're talking about, but Diaz wants to fight at 185 instead of 170. Where do things stand with that right now?
Yeah, it's good. So Robbie Lawler flew in last night. He obviously wasn't happy about it, but Robbie's a gamer. Robbie's a fighter, man, and he's going to do it. So those guys will fight on Saturday night at 185 pounds.
All right, so you're going to find a way to make that work. In your mind, how much does that change things for both of them?
I think it makes it a better fight, to be honest with you. Like you said, 17 years ago, this fight happened. These guys are a lot older. And cutting down to that 170 pounds, takes a lot out of you. These guys are going to come in fresh. Neither one of them are going to have to cut.
Dana, what do you expect? I mean, do you have any idea what to expect from Nick? It has been 6 years since he's been inside a UFC octagon. Any idea what to expect from him when he gets there?
And by the way, Robbie Lawler landed in Vegas at 82. So,
okay.
So I don't know what to expect from Nick Diaz. The one thing that I do know, I don't know what he's got left or up, but he and his brother are fighters, man. These guys, there's going to be, listen, the BS isn't done. There's more coming this week. And the one thing that I do know is that they'll show up on Saturday and they'll fight.
I love these guys. I absolutely love these guys. I don't have to do business with them like you do, Dana. I can see where some days are probably better than other days, but man, there's something else. I mean, what's to say about both these guys that 17 years later, they're still looking to fight each other? I understand that this is what fighters do, but 17 years later, they still want to fight. What's that say about both of them?
Yeah, listen, I mean, it doesn't even need to be said about either one of these guys. Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler are two of the baddest dudes to ever participate in combat sports.
Dana, one last thought about the two of them. Like, what do you remember? They met at UFC 47. That was a Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell card. What do you remember about that first fight?
First of all, Robbie was coming in with a lot of hype at that time. Nick Diaz was known, but not known as, like he is today. And that was one of the defining fights in both of their careers. And what's crazy about Robbie Lawler? I can't remember. I found that kid when he was either 18 or 19 years old, and I liked him. I thought he had potential. He ended up becoming a world champion, and he's still fighting in the UFC today. Pretty crazy.
That is amazing. Dana White joining us. So, Dana, if that card only had a Diaz fight, it'd be worth the money. But in addition to that, you've got Volkanovski defending his featherweight belt against Brian Ortega. After they coached against each other on The Ultimate Fighter, what is your sense as to what each guy thinks of the other guy?
Yeah, I think that when you do a stint on The Ultimate Fighter, you already don't like the guy that you're fighting, or you don't love him. He's not your best friend. Then as you're with him day in and day out, they start to get on your nerves, and by the time the end of the season is over, you just can't wait to punch the other guy in the face. So I think that's exactly what happened with Volkanovski and Ortega. And either way, with or without The Ultimate Fighter, these are two of the best guys in the world. And I expect this fight to be an absolute war.
Dana White's joining us. To that point, Dana, Volkanovski has got a 19-fight winning streak, 19, and has back-to-back wins over Max Holloway, where he won the belt and then defended it. So does he get the respect that he deserves, or does he still have more to prove?
Yeah, it's one of those things for a guy like Volkanovski, because the Holloway fights were so close, and, people thinking that, Holloway won that fight or whatever. The thing is, he's just going to have to keep picking guys off. When he gets to Holloway twice, if he beats Brian Ortega, then he's got Yair Rodriguez coming. I mean, after a while, it's like Kamaru Usman. In my opinion, right now, Kamaru Usman is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. All right? I mean, if you look at what this guy has accomplished, beat Masvidal twice, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley, Rafael Dos Anjos, Damian Maia, Leon Edwards. he's finally starting to get the credit he deserves and the respect. He's without a doubt the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. I think Volkanovski is probably going to have to take that same route.
I appreciate those thoughts on that. Dana White joining us. What about Valentina Shevchenko looking for her 6th straight title defense after she won at UFC 261? You described her performance as being, quote, like a bleeping demon. What did she show you back in April that made you feel that way?
Yeah. First of all, this girl is one of the greatest female fighters of all time. I mean, her and Amanda Nunes have fought twice, and she's going up a weight class to take on Amanda. You could say 2 weight classes because Amanda has the 45-pound championship too. Right now, her and Amanda Nunes are the baddest women to ever walk the face of the earth, and I'm excited to see. Lauren Murphy's been on a roll, and she's got 8 wins by knockout and 1 via submission. For women at that weight to knock other women out is very tough to do. Lauren Murphy has done it, so we'll see what she can do against this absolute savage Valentina Shevchenko.
Yes, to that point, Dana, I really respect Lauren Murphy, but to that point about Shevchenko, is she, in a way, as great as she is she maybe the most underrated superstar you've seen in the game?
100%. You're absolutely right, Jim.
Dana White joining us. Dana, Conor. I talked quite a bit about Conor McGregor today, man.
I know where this is going.
No, dude, I loved it yesterday, Dana. There's sometimes, you know how it is. I will not speak for you. I will speak for me. There have been days where Conor McGregor was my favorite human being ever. There were days where I've been like, Conor, man, what the hell are you doing? Yesterday was one of the good days with Conor, man. I thought he was awesome from start to finish. What's your sense, though, is his next move as a fighter?
Well, let me start here. You know how many times I've been asked to throw out a first pitch somewhere, and I'll never do it, ever? Just like all the guys that think they can fight, guys think they can go out and throw a baseball to home plate. It's a lot harder than it looks. This kid's got to heal up. I don't know how fast that leg is going to recover, and it's basically going to be all about when can he start kicking again, and more importantly, when can he start taking kicks again. That will determine when he fights again.
Dana, to the point, I don't know for you, I don't want you to think that I had a different take on it. I thought that first pitch was great. I loved what he did. My point is, if the guy hits the glove, nobody gives a damn, nobody talks about it. But because he threw it out of the stadium, he went viral, he got his retweets, everybody's talking about it. It was brilliant. And to your point, I have done it, man. It is much harder than it looks. It is much harder than it looks. Let me ask you this. You're a boxing fan from way back in the day. I know you love that sport still yet. However, what do you make of celebrity boxing events? Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the sport?
I don't think it's good or bad for the sport. I don't think it's either. I think that there's always going to be a market for that. There's always going to be, a couple years ago when Justin Bieber called out Tom Cruise, everybody was asking me about that. I mean, imagine if Justin Bieber really fought Tom Cruise. It would be the biggest pay-per-view of all time. There's always going to be a market for those type of fights. But be prepared. When you see it, it's going to be the fight you've ever seen in your life, okay? It's not going to be good, but people are interested in it.
Dana White, my guest. Obviously, Jake Paul has figured out this formula, exactly what you're talking about. And, of course, he's been talking about you. A few weeks back, he said, quote, I think it ends with me running into him in a club in Vegas and knocking him the bleep out, end of quote. Dana, you saw that. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, my reaction was, it makes sense. I'm 52 years old, right in the age demographic of guys he likes to fight. Washed up 52-year-olds. It absolutely makes sense.